This episode is brought to you by our friends and rock band extraordinaire, Chibi Kadama. You can check them out at chibikadamamusic.com. Hey, that Kids Bop CD you're listening to, it sucks. Whether you're a kid or a parent, just throw that thing out the window while you're driving. It's not littering because it's already garbage. You need to listen to awesome music for kids and parents, made by kids and parents. Check out chibikadamamusic.com and download some awesome free tunes that you and your kids will love. You cannot go wrong with this awesome kindie band. Check them out at chibikadamamusic.com.
Sometimes you gotta take some risks. Baby, I could eat a big skateboard.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of the What Are We Watching podcast. Hey Carlin, what are we watching this week?
Bella and the Bulldogs.
And it's horrible. Stay tuned.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
Stay
it's not.
tuned.
Yeah, Carlin turns on the TV, Christian flips off the screen, cause there's no good children's shows that he's seen. We've got dogs with blogs, superheroes in the ER. All dads are dumb and kids have better PR. Carlin just smile, Christian sits with a scowl. He complains to his son, all the kids shows suck now. They sit and discuss the show's plus and minuses while you listen or watch on YouTube to the arguments. Who is right? Is it the son or the dad? Either way you get to laugh knowing Christian is mad. So pull up a chair, get the corner poppin'. Here's a new episode of What Are We Watching?
Okay, thanks for joining us for the latest episode of the What Are We Watching podcast. How's your summer going, Carlin?
Good.
What have you been doing?
Going to the summer program.
Summer program at school. It's awesome. Summer arts program. They get to go for a few days a week, do art, have fun with their friends, do a little bit of learning, but it's not summer school. It's like summer awesome, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like hardcore school. It's an art program where you also do a little bit of reading and math, which is kind of neat, right?
Yes.
You get to see your friends and still have summer vacay. All right, well, I am still doing the same thing, plugging along, taking care of this family. So, this week we had to watch a show called Bella and the Bulldogs. Season 4, Episode 1. Now, I have never seen an episode of Bella and the Bulldogs before. Have you, Carlin?
No.
No. All right. Now, what is Bella and the Bulldogs about? Well, Bella is a girl who is the quarterback of her school's football team. And that's not a normal thing. Mostly it's boys that are that play football in school. So that's the whole premise of the show. Bella is changing people's minds with her spunk and personality and her football skills. And she is the quarterback of the football team. Now, I expected to see, football in this show. And
well, it's season 4, so there's probably a whole bunch of more football in other episodes.
So you don't think it's unreasonable for me to expect to see football in a show?
Maybe they weren't having a game that day.
Okay, well, let's get into it. I hated this show.
I like the show.
I hated the show because I expected to see football in a show about football. And there was no football. There was no football. She dressed up in a football outfit, without pads, by the way, but there was zero football. There was dancing, there was cheerleading, there was baton twirling, but there was no football. Okay, so rundown for the people. What is this episode about, Carlin?
It's about Bella doing the junior
Miss whatever beauty pageant.
Yes.
So she's going to a beauty pageant. Why is she entering the beauty pageant?
Because she wants to win $10,000 for her college scholarship.
Yeah, which is awesome. She wants to earn money for college, for her scholarship. That is awesome, and that's a good reason to enter a beauty pageant. Now, she has 2 friends. One of her friends is fascinated with pageants and talks about a tiara like she's Gollum from Lord of the Rings. My precious, I want my precious so much. bitch. And then she has another friend who hates beauty pageants and wants her to bomb the whole thing and ruin it. Okay. So, how is Bella going to get into this pageant? She doesn't know anybody at the country club, or does she? Who's going to sponsor her to be in the beauty pageant?
Newt's stepmother.
Newt's stepmom. Newt is a rich kid who is, how do we describe him? Very full of himself and flighty. We'll use the word flighty.
I have no idea what that means.
And so his stepmom, who he doesn't really like, is a past beauty champion, and she is going to sponsor Bella and be her pageant coach.
What I was confused is how did she go for it 5 years in a row if they
Yeah.
said you're only allowed to go in 3?
He said that she won it 5 years in a row, even though you were only allowed to be in the beauty pageant for 3. I think that was just to show that Brenda Jean, who is the girl's name, the woman's name, is over the top and pushes her way through everything. So I think that was the idea. That Brenda Jean just does that. Okay, let's go through our What Are We Watching question board right now. What are our questions?
Was there a laugh track?
And what's the next question?
Were the adults idiots?
And the other question?
Were the kids
On
were the
their
kids
own.
alone on their own?
Okay, so the question is, and we discussed this during the show, we try not to discuss things while we're watching shows if we watch it together, but we actually had a conversation and we jumped back to see something. Was there a laugh track on this show?
Yes, like for everything they said, I will say that.
For everything they said on the very last scene. Now, here's the thing. I jumped back because I was like, listen to the laugh track. It just kept rolling. It was like the waves at the beach, wasn't it?
Like it was loud, but then it got quieter, but it was still laughing.
Okay,
and then loud again.
I think that they were also piping in fake sounds because they were in a restaurant. They would always cut to this place called the Stagecoach, which was the restaurant they hung out in. If you notice, all of these shows have the same exact ideas. There's a house set, a school set, and a restaurant set or a hangout set, right? There's always
Yes.
like one place they hang out. Like Austin and Alley, I think there was a restaurant that they hung out in. There was a music stop. What was the other one that has the restaurant? Kicking It. They always hang out at
Yes.
that one restaurant. When I
Well,
was
it's
a
right
kid,
across from their dojo.
right. And when I was a kid, it was Saved by the Bell, and they always hung out at Max's. So they have these same sets that they reuse. I get that. So I think during the laugh track, they were also piping in sounds of the patrons or the other people at the restaurant at the Stagecoach. So that was some of the noise we were hearing, but it made it. I mean, they were also piping in tons of laughs from the laugh track,
Yes.
but it just sounded like like a never-ending wave, and it didn't matter what they were saying. It just had laughs.
Yes.
It just had constant laughs. And that drives me crazy. Like, hit a joke hard with the laugh track. Boom. Punch it up. Fine. Punch up the jokes with the laugh track. But it shouldn't be on every facial expression. And it drives me insane. It drives me bonkers. Okay, because you know when they do film audiences or crowds in restaurants and they're pretending to talk in the background behind the actors, they're not actually saying anything. They're just pretending to talk, right? And then they bite the noise. But it made the laugh track insufferable. Okay. Question number 2 on our board. Are the kids on their own on the show?
No.
No, they are not on their own. There are adults on the show.
Yes.
Were the adults idiots?
Now, Brenda was sort of an idiot.
Okay,
She
was, but then she comes to her defense at the end of the show. And, you know, we're skipping ahead a little, but she pushes her into the beauty pageant and says, don't do the talent. We'll talk about it in a minute. The talent you want to do this talent. But then Bella decides to do what she wants to do. And she's like, yeah, you do what you want to do. Girl power, Texas. Wee-hoo. All that kind of stuff. So she is kind of an idiot character and not an idiot character. Her stepson Newt ends up respecting her more as a stepmom at the end of the show, doesn't he?
Yes.
So I will say
He
that
still calls his therapist, though.
he does call his therapist a lot. Do you even know what a therapist really is?
I feel like I do.
Okay, so what do you
Like
feel like
somebody,
a therapist does?
it's not really a doctor, but like helps you out with not really your
Your feelings.
yes.
Your feelings. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know if you remember this. When we first adopted you, because of the way adoption works, like we all had to go to a therapist and see them. Do you even remember that happening?
Was that like the place where I had to sit down and she was asking me lots of questions?
Yeah, she was asking you lots of questions like, how's your life? Is everything okay? There was like a sandbox to play in. It was so crazy. But that, like, we had to do it for a few months just to like satisfy.
Oh, that one where like I came in a room
Yeah, with just
with
the woman.
adult.
Yeah. You don't even remember it, do you?
I do. We were playing with this wooden set thing with the marbles.
And she got paid lots and lots of money to make sure that, I don't know, you were happy with me being your dad. Yeah, that wasn't frightening for me at all. Okay, so we will say the adults were not idiots. Now we've talked about our personal family therapy sessions on the podcast. Awesome. Okay, this is worth your dollar, people. It's free. It's awesome. Okay, so there was a laugh track. The kids were not on their own, and the adults weren't all idiots, but they were definitely stupid at times.
Yes.
Yes, and I never saw Bella's parents. Never saw her mom. Never saw her dad. Never saw a teacher. Never saw a principal. They did kind of run the school. The only adults in the episode were the stepmom, Brenda Jean, and the
Yes.
pageant, the people that ran the pageant. That's it. So I
Yes.
don't even know if
But like
Bella has parents.
if they were idiots, like, well, the one of the people at the pageant, like, she wasn't really an idiot, but like she wasn't.
She was a jerk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so when Bella decides to enter the beauty pageant, Newt gets his stepmom to sponsor her because she has to have a sponsor for the country club, and she comes in and acts like a crazy stage mom and says, "We're gonna put a spray tan booth in your bedroom. You could sleep on the floor. We got to do your makeup." And Bella, everybody has these horrible Texas accents that I don't think are real, so I'm just making them worse. And Bella says, "I have makeup," and she goes, "Oh, honey, that's cute for a baby," and then brings in a luggage box
Yes.
full of makeup. Okay, now that's the A story of the show. What is the B story on this episode of Bella and the Bulldogs?
That Bella's two friends are proving
Cheerleaders. Yep.
to the boys that cheerleading is a sport, and like how they don't get treated fairly, like because nobody ever sponsors them,
Right,
and
well, the
shows
boys
them
were-
how they actually are athletes.
Yeah, the boys were making fun of cheerleading when they heard them complaining how sore they were and that they were athletes. And the
Yeah.
boys are like, "Cheerleading's not a sport. You're not athletes." And they're like, yeah, we are. You try to do it." So what was their bet? If the boys lose, what happens? Oh, the bet was that the boys had to do a routine, a cheerleading routine.
Yes.
And what was it they had to do if they lost?
They had to wear cheerleading outfits.
Yeah, they had to wear cheerleading outfits and act like idiots in school. Okay, let's just cut to the chase. The boys tried to do the cheerleading routines. They practiced all night. Were they successful?
No.
No, they weren't. They ran into each other.
But at first they were successful, but then
they were
towards
good
the
at
end-
dancing around with the pom-poms, but then they tried to do a move, and then they were both fighting over who was the base, and then they fell down, and one kid said, "I think I broke my base." So that's what happened. So the girls let them off the hook and said, "You do not have to wear your cheerleading outfits to school."
But we just wanted to prove to you that we are athletes and
That
blah
we're
blah blah
athletes.
blah.
Yeah. And so in a show called Bella and the Bulldogs, where they are proving girls can do sports that boys do, they decide not to show any of that sport, and then they make it all about cheerleading.
Well, that's just one of the episodes.
Well, I don't want to watch another episode based on this because I'm a dad who wanted to see a girl kick butt. I have a daughter. I wanted to see a girl kick butt and be a quarterback of a winning team, and I didn't get to see any football. Why am I
Well
going to
then,
want to watch it
because
again?
that's your bad luck. You didn't pick the right episode to see it. So.
Why would I want to watch it again? It's the season 4, episode 1 of a show. So you would think, oh, we're going to get new viewers. It's the episode 1 of the season. People see that there's 4 seasons season's out, so obviously people are going to watch. Why am I going to want to come back to a football show that doesn't show any football?
So why not watch the first episode?
The very first episode?
Or first or second
Because
or
we
third?
try not to watch pilot episodes on the podcast. But my point is, shouldn't there have been a little bit of football? Just a little bit.
True, okay, there should be, but
Just a little
still.
little taste.
Oh, there was a little taste.
How was there a little taste?
And the pagan
Pageant.
pageant. I
You
can't
keep
say
saying
that right.
pagan, which is, people that worship the devil. But that's okay. Bella becomes a pagan and starts worshiping the
reminds
devil
me of the
in
book I
season
read,
4, episode 1 of
The Christmas pagan.
the Christmas pagan. Now, okay, so she's in the pageant and she wants to make her talent that.
And she was
does
throwing
football.
footballs
She
in
wanted
the hoop,
to do that.
and
Brenda Jean said, twirl a baton. She decides, blow up the pageant. I don't care if I
so
win
they were
money.
still trying to throw football in there.
And she did. She threw a football. What are some of the tricks she did with her football?
She threw them through hoops.
She threw them for other small.
Newt was very scared, so he put on a helmet and put
An apple on top. Yeah.
yes.
Well, what was
And
cool-
she blew out the candles, throwing it like over.
Yeah, she threw it over a birthday cake full of candles, and it went whoosh, and you could totally tell that was a special effect and a fake
Yes.
football falling over. Okay, but it was cool when she was throwing them for the hoops. Newt was holding up a hoop, and they kept getting smaller. So they showed you 2 of them, not the third one. And then you're right, the apple while she was blindfolded, and the birthday cake. Very cool. They showed her doing tricks with the football and not playing football.
There was still football in it.
Okay, I guess you win. Okay,
Haha.
so the guys crash and burn and prove that cheerleaders are athletes. Bella decides that she's going to blow up the pageant and not care about the $10,000, and then Bridget Jean says, I'm going to make my own pageant. And then the girl that plays Mozart on the glasses says, I didn't even want to do that. I wanted to recite pi, which is a very long infinite number, and she was going to recite it. She would like to do that. Here's another thing that I wrote down at the end of my notes that we didn't discuss. You know another thing that they never showed?
What?
Cheerleading.
There was cheerleading.
There was not any cheerleading
There
in the
was
show.
cheerleading. The people in the stands were watching, and the boys still put on outfits and weren't.
No. The boys came out and started a routine and then failed with just the 2 girls. Then the next day, they came out and held up signs and said, we are going to cheer for the cheerleaders, because you're right, nobody ever cheers for the cheerleaders. And then they're cheering, and it shows the stands, and it shows them cheering for the girls holding up the... But the cheerleading is all off screen.
Oh, okay. I get
never-
what you mean now.
You never see the cheerleaders cheering. You never see them doing the
The
difficult...
boys were cheering.
You never see them do the difficult moves that the girls were saying they do, and they tried to get the boys to learn how to do. They never show you playing football, and they never show any actual cheerleading. Am I wrong?
No.
I'm right, this show stinks. Okay.
No, that still doesn't prove the
Okay, so they still got the message across that girls kick butt, they're awesome athletes. Bella, it doesn't matter if she's ladylike like the woman at the pagan pageant.
Haha, now you're saying it.
I love that it's a pagan pageant. This is the pageant where we worship the devil. $10,000 and your soul. Okay, so what would you give this show? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. How would you rate Bella and the Bulldogs? Knowing that you noticed the laugh track was horrible, they didn't show football, and they didn't actually show any cheerleading. But how would you rate the show? 1, 10 being the best.
You know what? I would actually do a 7 3/4.
7 3/4. That might be the lowest score you've ever given something.
I think
Is that
so.
because of all the things I pointed out that was wrong with it?
Well, there is some stuff I noticed too.
Well, what stuff did
that
you
weren't
notice?
but it was weird to me how after Brenda Jean said she was going to make her own, she just entered another one. She said, I'm doing blah, 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 blah.
Oh, because she entered an adult beauty pageant. It has nothing to do with making her own for the kids. She was entering an adult beauty pageant because
Yeah,
she's...
well, then that makes sense.
Okay.
But like other stuff, You pointed out.
Yeah, that I pointed out. Okay, I'm going to give this show a 3. A 3, and that's only because I have a daughter and I like the girl power message. I love that they're saying, girls, you can do whatever. If you can do it physically, you go do it. Now, if a girl can't play football, she shouldn't be on a football team, okay? If a guy can't be a cheerleader, he shouldn't go out for cheerleading. But if you have the
Guys
skills...
can be cheerleader.
I know, if you can do it, though.
Yeah.
So if you have the skills to do it, girl power doesn't mean you can do anything even if you don't have the skills. No. What it means is have confidence in yourself, girls. Go do it. If you can do the skill, you go out there and you try out and you be the awesome person that you can be. I love that message. I like seeing that message for my daughter. But there's no football in a football show. There was no cheerleading in a
Well,
cheerleading
I'm trying
episode.
to make my point that you've only seen one episode,
Well,
and
I'm
now you're
rating-
complaining that you don't want to see
I'm
another
rating
one.
this
So,
episode. I'm rating
boo-hoo.
this episode 3. If they throw in some football, maybe they get a 5. Maybe they get a 6. Maybe I never watch another episode because they teased me being about
How about
football.
at least you give it a 3.5 for her showing her tricks about the football?
Fine, I'll give it a 3.5 because she threw some footballs. Happy?
Yes.
And you give it a 7 3/4.
Yes.
And that means this show. All right, thank you for watching
No.
or listening to the What Are We Watching podcast. If you want to listen to us on iTunes and you're not already, go to whatarewewatching.com/iTunes. It'll take you right to the iTunes link. You can also catch us on YouTube at What Are We Watching. Just look us up and whatarewewatching.com. All right, Carlin, anything you have to say to the audience before we go?
It doesn't stink and bye.
He stinks. We'll see you next time. This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit plaiddadblog.com. This is the pageant where we worship the devil. $10,000 and your soul.